You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends, and welcome. We certainly appreciate you guys coming by. Today, we have the amazing author of a massive amount of books. In fact, he's the one who wrote the original book, The Devil's Advocate, that turned into a massively explosive and very popular movie. One of my favorite movies of all times, actually. And of course, I'm a big Al Pacino fan and everything else. Andrew Neiderman is on the show with us today. And is it Neiderman or Neiderman?
It's Neiderman, but my family, when they moved to Philadelphia, for some reason, they went for Neiderman.
There you go.
It's people in New York all know me as Andrew Neiderman. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good then. Andrew Neiderman is on the show with us today, and he's going to be talking about his latest book, and this is kind of exciting, Judgment Day. It's a prequel to The Devil's Advocate. So now I'm even more excited. I want to see this movie come out. If it gets turned into a movie, which I'm sure it probably will, I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk to him and find out what's going on with his life. But he is an amazing author of over 46 thrillers. He's been the author of V.C. Andrews for over 35 years. Besides The Devil's Advocate, he's had dozens of his books and V.C. Andrews novels adapted to film. The Cutler series is now being produced for Lifetime to air July 2023. Most recently, the biography he wrote of V.C. Andrews, The Woman Beyond the Addict, was nominated for an Edgar Award. Well, welcome to the show, Andrew. How are you?
I'm great. I mean, it's an exciting time, and whoever thought it would, it would come at this point in my life. But it's just a wonderful horse to ride. And, being nominated for the Edgar Award for the biography of Virginia Andrews was one of the most exciting moments that I could remember. And then April 27th is the award dinner, and meet a lot of the people. And that'll be fun just in and of itself. A lot of the other nominees, a lot of the people from other categories. It's just a wonderful haven for all writers, and TV people will be there, and I'm looking forward to it.
There you go. Oh, well, I mean, geez, how many books have you written in total?
I've published at this moment about 151. We have 4 V.C. Andrews novels coming out in the next year and a half. So, yeah, I've been busy.
I don't know how you
made into films. You're right.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. I mean,
the most exciting thing I don't know if you realize it, because what happened a year and a half ago was I engineered the sale of the V.C. Andrews franchise to A&E Studios. And they had been producing some V.C. Andrews movies, and since then have done 19. And we have 11 to 12 right now in the development can. So there'll be quite a few to see.
This is going to be awesome. I mean, you pretty much have the V.C. Andrews series started in 1987. There are approximately 26 million copies worldwide, and today there are over 108 million. That's pretty prolific.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I started it in 87, but it had started, of course, Virginia started it before that. She had written eight titles. And to me, the most exciting thing was to be able to carry it on and to help to grow it. See, at this moment, there is a V.C. Andrews title in every country in the world that has a publisher, including mainland China.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's quite a thing with the V.C. Andrews franchise.
There you go. Eden's Children went on sale earlier this year in January. Little Paula went on sale February 23. Yeah. The Woman Beyond the Attic on sale in February. And you've been nominated for the awards banquet. And then we're talking about this newest book, Judgment Day, that came out August 2nd, 2022. So Let's see here. What should we start with first to talk about? And we should get a .com so that we can get people to take a look at wherever they want to find you on the interwebs.
Well, one of them is Neiderman.com,
Mm-hmm.
just Neiderman.com. And then I have a number of Facebook pages. There is an official VC Andrews Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a page under Andrew Neiderman, author. I have a personal page, Andrew Neiderman. There are a lot of pages,
Yeah.
but we have a big following on the VC Andrews, official VC Andrews page. There's a lot of fans who started the pages on their own, different pages, but there is an official VC Andrews page. And that gets all the news first. So that's a good place for anybody to go if they want to know what's coming up, what's happening.
There you go.
Judgment Day, of course, I advertised on the Andrew Neiderman Facebook page and on LinkedIn and other internet sites. And Judgment Day is how Satan came into New York and took over the law firm, and how a district attorney in New York gradually realizes there's something weird about this new lawyer, and starts to pursue him. And he has a biblical background himself, so it becomes a very interesting conflict in the book.
Did you ever write a sequel to The Devil's Advocate?
Not as such, but I did write a book called The Dark, which is about Satan taking over the firm of a psychiatrist. He goes to a psychiatrist, Satan himself, and asks for help because he has a compulsion to cause people to do evil things.
Mm.
And the psychiatrist, of course, is half, thinking, this guy is a little wacky or whatever, until he describes one of the recent events, and he finds out it's true, and now he begins to worry about the patient. That's called The Dark.
There you go.
Easily picked up on Amazon or any of the book sites.
So the Judgment Day prequel, The Devil's Advocate, was it hard to form this out after, sometimes, I don't know, but I can imagine that sometimes, taking such a great story and trying to do a prequel to it and make it equally as great might be challenging.
It is challenging, but it was exciting and fun to do because I was able to bring so much from The Devil's Advocate into the prequel. And of course, he's got to establish himself as charming, just as he is in the movie. And we established where the conflicts would occur and who he's going after and how he takes over the firm. It opens up with one of the members of the firm basically looks like he's committing suicide, but somebody's actually killing him under Satan's orders. And Satan moves right into that spot and starts to take over the firm, and all kinds of things happen. And this detective gets involved with it because there's criminal cases, and he has, as I said, a biblical background, and he begins to realize something is going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's such a great, like we were talking in the green room, one of my favorite scenes of the, and anytime I see vanity or some sort of egotistical thing in, media or whatever, I always love that scene, vanity. It's my favorite sin. And then there's the Rolling Stones slide over in the character. And it's such a great part for Al Pacino, which I am a huge fan. I thought what was kind of interesting was the mixture of John Milton, John Steinbeck, East of Eden, and what's the other thing I'm looking at? East of Eden and
Paradise Lost.
Paradise Lost, yeah. And the whole way that blends in and just really kind of creates the whole story, which is I just love how just the complexity of that.
Yeah, well, you have to remember that. Let's go back for a minute. I was a school teacher, English department chairman at a high school in upstate New York, Fallsburg High School. And I had a great background in literature, obviously. Had a master's degree in English. And I was impressed by many of these early works. And Paradise Lost was always a favorite one of mine. View of the Devil. You can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven. I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven. I mean, there's some great stuff there.
Yeah.
to build on. And then you always have Shakespeare and his view of the devil. And being a teacher, I was able to weave all these things together into my story, be inspired by them. And that's why I think it's a bigger story than just a simple thriller. It has so much that people can read into it. The son of the devil. I imply a lot of things that the screenwriter then built on in the movie, which was great. I thought it was wonderful. And for those who have read the book, they know that at the end of the novel, after Kevin, the lawyer, kills Satan with a gunshot, he goes to prison. And when he's in prison, he ends up being terrorized by the other prisoners to do their appeals. And the ending of the book is he goes to the library forced to do them. And who is the librarian but John Milton? And so we realize that Satan let him do this in order to help him get his people out, so to speak. So it was quite a dramatic ending. They all loved it, but they said, well, the problem in the movies is the main character is defeated so badly that we fear we'd lose box office. So then we worked on trying to find another ending for it, and it took 6 writers.
Wow.
Until Tony Guilford came along, and he came up with that, that mirror scene, and then we're going back, and then the ending. And then the ending, of course, when Satan says, vanity, my favorite sin. But the reason he's saying it is because even though it looks like the lawyer has become a moral person, we realize in that last moment that vanity is going to overtake him again. And, Satan was defeated, but he's never killed. So that was a great way to launch it in that regard.
Oh, yeah. And
By the
it sets
way,
up
we have
almost.
it developed as a stage musical.
Is it really a stage musical too?
It will be, yeah.
Wow.
I've been working on that with a dramatist in London and a composer, dramatist Julian Wilford, who's done a lot of shows, a lot of plays, and Richard John, the music director, who's the composer. And we are now finishing up our deal with Poland to open there in 2024. And there's a big bite from South Korea. So you may say, why you're going there? Well, that's the way you get musicals getting going. You should go to smaller venues first, build it up, and then find your way to Broadway.
There you go.
So
I was just going to ask you.
It will be a musical.
Yeah. Well, that would be interesting. I mean, it's such a powerful movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And of course, as I mentioned, I'm an Al Pacino fan. And the Matrix gentleman, I forget his name.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. He was so great in that part, as was the female role.
Yeah,
it was powerful. And it just such a great plot twist. Such a you kind of feel the horror of what he starts to figure out. I remember, the play that Pacino does so beautifully, where he tells the guys who try to mug him in the in the subway. He's like, if you go home, he's talking language.
Yeah, right.
It's just pure wonderful evil. Was it hard to put that into current terms and pick lawyers as the vehicle of the current day devil? I mean, it seems kind of appropriate if you think about it, I guess.
That was the easy part, Last August, I did Ari Melber's show on MSNBC, and we talked about the difference in what is immorality. What used to be good and evil, the lawyers have turned to win or lose.
Yeah.
And that's what worked its way into politics. So it's no longer whether you're going to do good things. The main thing is, can I win? Can I be reelected? And that's more important than doing the good thing.
Yeah.
So I think there's a heavy emphasis on winning and losing, and I think that, in fact, there's a great line in The Devil's Advocate when Keanu Reeves is yelling back and forth with Al Pacino, and he says, "I'm a lawyer. We win. That's what we do." And basically, that's what it's become.
Yeah.
And the reason I guess I chose lawyers is because they start off, when you think about it, they never really ask the client, are you guilty? Because once they do that, they're officers of the court, and it's a different story. So the purpose that they'll always tell you is I got to give somebody a good defense
Yeah.
according to the Constitution. So I'm not going to ask him if he's guilty. I'm going to find out how to make him not guilty, or if he's guilty, how to make it less severe.
Yeah.
So that, you go to a doctor, he doesn't look at your illness and say, okay, how can I make this person not guilty?
I think in today's world, it's like, how much money can I charge this guy?
Yeah, it lends itself to it.
Maybe you should make health insurance companies the next.
Oh yeah. Well, the funny part when you talk about it is, I remember I was at a restaurant in France, in Nice, I think it was, and somebody said to the whole restaurant, the author of The Devil's Advocate is here. And a man raised his hand in the back and he said, I'm a lawyer. And I said, what kind of lawyer? And he said, criminal attorney. I said, that's oxymoron. If you're a criminal, you're an attorney. The place laughed. Really did.
Well, there you go.
Funny. And I had a lot of fun with lawyers after that.
Yeah, I'll bet. I mean, it's interesting how they it's interesting how they do their work, and everyone deserves a thing, but like it portrays in the movie, sometimes you can get a guy off on a technicality, and he goes and does something even more heinous. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Actually, I got two stories for you. One is while we were developing The Devil's Advocate, the O.J. Simpson case was on.
Oh, jeez.
So I would be running up. I remember running up to Warner Brothers a number of times and saying, "What are you guys doing? The Devil's Advocate is on television. Why don't we get moving here? Why don't we stop rewriting and doing all these notes?
Yeah. And if it doesn't fit,
it was quite an thing to see. But,
there you go.
This is a true story. I was on a plane going to. Again, I was going to. It seems like I go there all the time, but I was going to France, and I got to a conversation with a man across the aisle, like you often do. And he asked me, "What do I do for a living?" And I told him, "Writer." And he said, "What do you write?" And then I said, "Well, you probably know The Devil's Advocate." And he said, "My God, you changed my life." And I said, "What do you mean?"
Wow.
He says, "I was a criminal attorney. I represented a man who killed a child.
Oh.
I got him off. I saw your movie. The man killed another child.
Jesus.
I quit being a lawyer, and I bought a hotel in Ez." That's a true story. I mean,
that is amazing.
I had chills for the whole rest of the trip.
It's giving me chills. I mean, that's extraordinary. I would have trouble with the guilt of it as well. I just think it's it's interesting. There's
life.
There's certain people I couldn't. I love the attorney business, and I like the whole feel of law and the aspects of it and Constitution and stuff like that. But I don't think I could ever be a criminal attorney, at least not one for defense.
Well, to be fair, you got to go to Kill a Mockingbird. Look at Gregory Peck. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of attorney that we love. Mm-hmm. That kind of an attorney, and Perry Mason stories and all that. So I don't mean to say that all attorneys are the Satan. It's just that there's a tendency or a leaning that allows them to shave it a bit more than maybe other professions. Yeah. And you see that in Judgment Day, when he takes over the firm and the detective realizes there's something going on here. Something going on in the cases that's a little bit supernatural. And so that gets us back into The Devil's Advocate.
Yeah. And the whole, the play on the seven deadly sins, vanity and all the other stuff, gluttony and everything else. It's interesting how we struggle with that as human beings, our own vanity, our own egotism. I mean, I clearly suffer from a lot of it.
Well, we all have it. It's good. Yeah. So in some ways, it's very good to have it. You got to have it.
Yeah.
Have self-respect. But if you think it, at what point does it become egomania?
Yeah. Well, we all know I have egomania.
Oh, good.
Let's get a plug in for your other books here.
Okay.
You've got The Woman Beyond the Addict,
Right.
which is coming out in June on paperback. It came out last year,
Yes.
and it's winning awards. Let's get a plug in for that as well.
Well, yeah, this is, I mean, I'm nominated for the Edgar Award, and I'm so pleased for so many reasons.
Hmm.
After 40 years of Flowers in the Act, was 40 years out. So V.C. Andrews was actually 40 years old, the whole franchise. I thought it was time to write her biography,
Hmm.
and I was fortunate because there were some elderly members of her family who had one of them in particular, Mary Andrews, sister-in-law. She had all of Virginia's paperwork. I'm talking now about personal letters, about notes on writing, notes on books, notes on everything there is.
Hmm.
And I was able to get into all of that. And then there was, was phenomenal. There was an aunt who still alive, who was working in Walmart's at 104 years old.
Wow.
And she was there for Virginia's family, her father. She had a lot of details and real details that I could intertwine in writing the biography. But the big challenge for me, of course, because Flowers in the Attic is such a gigantic bestseller worldwide, uh, we're talking in the tens of millions of copies, was all of the mysteries in the book that readers have been trying to solve for decades. And I was able, through getting into her biography, be able to track where anecdotes in her real life showed up in Flowers in the Attic.
Mm.
And in fact, I discovered that she was a very sick woman in the sense that she had a terrible handicap and was basically homebound for just most of her life. She, up to the point when she was a young teenager, and then she ended up in wheelchairs and operations and homebound. In
Hmm.
the first case, when she was in the hospital, when she was very young, she was very beautiful in her in youth, even in old age, and even sick, she was very beautiful.
Hmm.
Um, a doctor came to see her who was infatuated with her and said, "I heard you want to be a writer," and he said, "Here, let me tell you my life story. Maybe you make a story of it." And he told her the story of him and his siblings being locked in an attic in
Hmm.
Richmond, Virginia.
Wow.
She never forgot the story, but she didn't really write it. This is what was phenomenal about her. She persevered in her work, but she didn't really write it or flesh it out until she was 55 years old.
Hmm.
At 55, she became a world phenomenon. This was a woman who had been housebound all that time, and suddenly everybody in the world wanted to meet Virginia Andrews. So the story is quite fascinating.
Hmm.
The Woman Beyond the Attic. It's on Simon and Schuster, and in June it'll come out in paperback. And we're hoping to get into a movie about her life story too.
That'll be really interesting. And so on Eden's Children, which went on sale in
Yeah,
January, and Little
most
Paula,
recent. Yeah,
you're writing those?
yeah. I wrote Ian's Children and then Little Paula.
Hmm.
The thing about V.C. Andrews that makes it kind of unique. It's always about family in some way or another, but
Yeah.
there's always some kind of a weird twist,
Hmm.
some kind of strange thing. Nothing weirder probably than Flowers in the Attic, with a mother who poisons her own
Wow.
children, and with the scene of incest that we have.
Mm.
But and then the background of all the family. Flowers in the Attic was so powerful that I was able to develop 6 more novels out of it,
Wow.
out of it, out of
Wow.
the book itself. And I've written a stage play that just came out, uh, updated. It's a download for anybody. The stage play of The Flowers in the Attic.
Mhm.
But then Eden's Children, my most recent V.C. Andrews series, is about the premise is about a mother, a woman who's married, has no children,
Mhm.
who goes shopping in orphanages for 2 children to
Mm.
make a new family. And it has that kind of a weird twist.
Mhm.
Um, when I say make a new family, it's a double meaning.
Oh, wow.
She had intended for the two she had adopted
Mhm.
to become parents for her grandchild,
Mhm.
and the husband doesn't realize it. So it's quite an intricate family story. I mean, Eden's children, and then what happens is there is a baby, and that baby becomes little Paula. So there's
Wow.
quite a bit to go on that one. Yeah.
And so you're going to continue publishing this series or being the writer for this series from here on out?
Well, I'm working on the new series, which is the Sutherland series,
Okay.
and the first book on that one will be out in fall of next year. No, I'm sorry, it's going to be out in February of next year, called Losing Spring,
Mm.
and that starts the Sutherland series.
Hmm.
And the second book's already written, and that'll be out in the fall, and that's called Searching for Endless Summer. So this is very similar in structure to Flowers in the Attic, but it's much more modern in its themes and in its plot challenges.
There you go. What helps you be so prolific? What do you think is the core of why you're able to just write so many books and do different screenplays and things of that nature? What do you think is the catalyst for that, and what unlocked that for you?
Well, I grew up in an encouraging household. I had my maternal grandmother live with us.
Hmm.
She was from Hungary, and uh, she would tell me at night stories about gypsies and all the magic and things. And I was just a little kid boy, but I was fascinated with just listening to her. My father was kind of a storyteller. My mother was like a poet, and my sister wrote poetry too. So, but it just was inbred, I guess. But I often say to people, I'm not sure if it's a curse or a blessing, because I mean it's almost impossible for me to go out and see things happening and not have, which I call the main driver for all stories is the what if question.
Mm,
So I'm always challenged by that. Uh, Let me give you a real concrete example.
sure.
I was reading an article about an experiment in Oxford where they were taking human brain cells and putting them into the brains of monkeys to see if they could raise the intelligence of the monkeys.
Mm,
And it was, experiment they were doing. And I went in my head and I said, what if they did that with a German Shepherd, supposedly the most intelligent dog used for war and police, and it escapes into population? So I wrote Night Howl from that what if question.
hmm.
See, so behind all my books, there's this curiosity that just comes. And then the big thing for a writer is it's great to have a premise like that, but you need a character.
Hmm.
You have to develop a strong character. When I say a strong character, the character should take over the story. If you have a good character, he or she will take it over the story. He or she will not do things not in accordance with his character or her character, and that drives the plot.
Hmm.
So you have to really concentrate on the person, the character that you're developing, and work the premise in that way. And
That's
that's what I tell young writers:
that's
get a
brilliant.
what if question and get a great character.
The what if element. Do you ever get writer's block? 150 books plus. You ever get writer's block?
No, I don't know what that is really. I heard many writers talk about it, but I have so many things backed up that I'm waiting to get to.
Hmm.
Because I'm writing the third book in the Sutherland series, and there are four or five other I have concepts that I wish I could get to, but uh, I have to do what I'm doing first, and then I get challenged by the movies because I have to be the consultant on movie scripts and
Hmm.
make sure that we're staying within the VC Andrews world. So
Hmm.
I do that with the Lifetime Network, and I work with other people trying to get films made and then I wrote the script for. I write the play Flowers in the Attic. So I just keep busy. I don't
There
even
you go.
think about writer's block.
That's maybe the key is to
Yeah.
just keep and asking questions like what if and things like that to just keep on going. Do you have a set schedule you keep every day where you write, or do you just write because it pours out of you?
No, I don't believe in that.
Mm,
People say I write when I get in the mood, kind of thing.
Hmm.
That's not a professional writer. Professional writer is like any other person working. You get up in the morning and you start. Uh, I always like to start, and I always tell writers, never end a chapter.
Mm.
Always write to the middle of the next chapter. And then when you start again the next day, rewrite everything you can up to that point. And it's like a relay runner passing the baton.
Wow.
You just keep going from there. But if you end the chapter, you're going to have a hard time starting up. It's like, it's a hard time starting up. You stop running, you have a hard time starting up. When
That
you're
would make
running, you
sense.
can run fast.
That would make
So,
sense.
yeah, so basically that's my technique. And I tell that to other writers, people trying to be writers, challenge yourself every morning. And don't sit there and say, well, I don't have the mood or something. Go back into your character. My family, my kids are always telling stories about how I would start talking about characters at dinner as if they were people they knew.
Huh.
It would drive them crazy. And anyway, after, who is that? Did we meet that
Do
person?
we know this person? Are we
Yeah,
related?
yeah. So
Yeah.
that was, it just, to me, they're always alive. So uh, I'll just say, and then, I don't know, the other day I remember saying, I was writing in this new Sutherland series, and there's a grandfather in it, and he's like a billionaire businessman. He's got his own attitudes about everything, and I realized something I was saying, and I said, "Oh, wait a minute, that's what grandfather said." And then my wife said, "What are you talking about?" I said, grandfather in the book I'm writing, he just said that. And it was like, "What do you mean you just said it? You wrote it, didn't you?" No, no, he just said it. To me, he just said it.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
uh,
we've had a lot of prolific authors like yourself on that have written lots of books, and
yeah,
it's interesting to me how they're always able to weave the story and develop the characters, and those characters, like you meant say, take on a living, breathing sort of sense. And do you ever get feedback from your readers where they go, "Hey, did you notice this character is, it has these sort of issues," and give you a bit of an epiphany? You ever had that before?
oh yeah, I got a lot of feedback, especially with the VC Enders line. I get there's hundreds of thousands of fans.
Yeah.
And everybody's got opinions. I think it's nice. Uh, and yeah, they challenge some things, and I try to explain them, but it's yeah, it's good to
Yeah.
me. If you stir people up where they care enough about what they're reading,
Mhm.
you've succeeded.
There you go.
You've made it something a living. And if when somebody reads something and go, that's it, they don't care to think about it anymore, that's a failure.
Yeah.
So how odd it might sound, but if somebody comes back and says, "Yeah, your character should have done this and should have done that," and I'm thinking, "Well, that's good. You're thinking about the character,
There you go.
and to you, it's a living thing. So
Ah,
you're criticizing me, but basically you're telling me I succeeded."
it's kind of like maybe it's kind of like songs and lyrics and stuff in songs.
Yeah,
Like people always take their own interpretation. Like "Stairway to Heaven" by Led Zeppelin. People have some sort of all sorts
yeah.
of different interpretations that they place on it. It's
Well, that's
really.
a that's the key thing in Flowers in the Attic. Why I wrote the biography of
Mhm.
Woman Beyond the Attic, because in the biography, a lot of the readers' questions about the story, their opinions and what this means, it gets solved for them because it's a wait, here's where it was. This is what actually did happen, and here's how V.C. Andrews incorporated it in the story,
Mhm.
and they can see all that now. And the other reason what made it interesting or challenging to write this biography was V.C. Andrews deliberately put out misinformation about herself. And the reason she did that was, one, she wanted to be a mystery, but when she went to London after she had become such a success, a reporter described her in a very ugly way as a handicapped, crippled woman.
Wow.
Made up things, in fact. It was like an Inquirer story.
Hmm.
And she never forgave the media for that. So if they'd ask her questions, she deliberately made up things to just to drive people crazy sometimes. And it was fun discerning the truth from that, and a challenge for me as the biographer to get into the truth of the matter through the
Mhm.
family and through paperwork.
Mhm.
So it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I imagine her fans really loved it, right? Because they got a chance to see behind the
yeah, I
veil.
had a lot
Mhm.
of great responses to it, and a lot of people still don't know it exists. It's hard today to get people to know everything, what exists and what doesn't out there, but it's still selling, and anybody can find, you can find anything on Amazon, but it's a Simon and Schuster book, so it's going to be out again in this June as a paperback,
Mhm.
and I think the Edgar Award nomination helped it, quite a bit.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
Well, congratulations on the award. I mean,
thank you.
certainly, you work hard, achievements are good, and give recognition and, give recognition to your future work even more. Anything more you can do to amplify it to the next level
Yeah,
and get more readers. I mean, that's an awesome feat.
yeah, yeah. It's exciting too. I've actually, what happened to me, we were in Hawaii, and you're a couple hours behind well, 5 hours behind New York, I think. So I just picked up, I don't know what I was on the internet, and I see I'm being congratulated. And I think, what the heck? What am I being congratulated for? And then I suddenly get notified of the nomination for the Edgar Award. It was quite a
Nice.
fun way to wake up.
That's one way to do it. I've had that
Yeah.
happen with the awards that we've gotten with the Chris Voss and the Chris Voss show.
Uh,
I woke up 2 years in a row, and people are like, "Hey, have you read Forbes yet? Have you seen the Forbes Award?" And you're like, "Well, I don't know. I just woke up, man. I'm hungover." Uh, and yeah, it is a nice way to wake up. But congratulations on all that. Anything more we want to plug coming down the pipe in the future?
well, I just say, and next year we'll have the new VC Angel series, the Sutherland series.
Hmm.
Uh, we have the movies coming out in July, based on the Cutler series. The first book is Dawn, which
Hmm.
which when I wrote that series, that was a complete series that I wrote on my own.
Hmm.
And Dawn outsold Flowers in the Attic in initial sale.
Hmm.
It's a very popular series with the fan base, and actually everyone. So that will be an exciting summer. Um, we are going, as I don't know if you knew it, but we did do a limited series on Flowers in the Attic called Flowers in the Attic: The Origins on
Hmm.
Lifetime, and it was based on the first novel I wrote, Garden of Shadows, and it got the biggest limited series audience Lifetime's ever had.
Wow.
So it will be continued, and that's going to be a very exciting event when that happens.
Hmm.
And there'll be more movies coming. As I said, they've already made 19, and they already have another 11 in development.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a pretty exciting period for movies and books in the V.C. Andrews franchise, no question. And Devil's Advocate coming out as a musical is so exciting for us. And
The hills are alive with the
yeah,
devil.
well, Satan sings well in this.
Does well, Andrew or Al Pacino. He did he's just
Yeah,
such a bombastic job. He's been accused of overacting. I think he's one of the greatest actors of all
he
time.
was great. It was great to watch him. I was on the
Yeah.
set for that big scene, that office scene,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and uh, I kept saying to Taylor Hackford, that was great. And he said, wait a minute, he's going to want to do it again. Well, he did it 14 times.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
14
Yeah.
different takes. And I was like, I said, well, every one of them were great for me, but
Yeah.
he's a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And
That's probably why he's a great
it was
actor.
wonderful to be on that set. We had a lot of great New York actors in that movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Ruben Santiago Hudson, who's been in a lot of television. He was the devil's man, so to speak, and
Hmm.
he won Tony Awards. There were a lot of them from the New York theater scene in the movie
Yeah.
because it was made in New York and in downtown LA in a studio.
Yeah.
When it was made in the Centennial Building in New York,
Hmm.
Warner Brothers took over 2 floors for that. So we
It
had
was
a lot of New York actors.
such a beautiful movie, visually,
Yeah,
you know, and yeah, I mean, I would love to see the prequel. I'd love to see a sequel. I don't know if it's one of those things where it's such a great movie. I don't. It's hard to beat it, but
yeah.
what the hell? Sometimes it's fun to go down those roads. I'm still a fan of Godfather 2, and I like
Oh yeah,
Godfather 3. You can kind of see a little bit of repetition in the storyline of Godfather 3, but hey, such a big fan of the original Godfather, and so
yeah.
you can take great movies and spin them off a little bit, and
Sure.
they come out pretty well. So
Yeah.
hopefully, I'll keep my fingers crossed that that's going to
Okay, I
happen. You
appreciate it.
reminded me, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the movie for old times. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I watched it like 50 trillion times.
Yeah, people do.
And
Quite a
vanity,
bit.
my favorite sin.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be there for the musical.
There you go. I can see
Yeah,
that.
move a little closer to you, maybe.
Will you be able to do the Rolling Stones bit that's the da, 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 I
Oh, I
think
love that when every
the
time we went to a
segue.
Rolling Stones concert when they sang that, we just had chills because that song. Taylor was very good with picking the music for the movie. Taylor Hackford.
Yeah.
He's married to Helen Mirren, the greatest actress in the world.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And so,
Okay.
in fact, when I met Taylor, I said, I don't, I like meeting you, but I'd rather meet your wife.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of fun. It was great. And my
There you
son,
go.
as a pilot, actually flew Taylor and Helen on a flight. And they
Wow.
and they ran. Taylor said, Helen said he should do the musical in Italy because Taylor's more famous in Italy than I am.
Yeah. The opening line for I believe it's Painted Black by the Rolling Stones, right? Da, da, da,
Yeah,
the opening guitar lick. It to me, Painted Black is one of the all-time best songs. Of course,
yeah.
there's the Devil's what's the Devil song? I forget. But it's their famous song. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Such great music to play
Yeah.
on. So that makes such great movies. Anyway, thank you very much, Andrew, for coming on. Congratulations on the
Thank
award,
you so much.
and
Thank you.
give us
Chris.
your .com so people can find you on the interwebs.
Okay, so I am Neiderman.com if they want to see titles of books. The official VC Andrews page on Facebook is the big spot where they hear the news pretty quickly. We're on Twitter. Uh, we're on LinkedIn too. I mean, I get into LinkedIn too. So we're on all the same places, and we look forward to getting more news out to everybody and exciting times ahead.
There you go. There you go.
And more to
Well,
come soon.
I'll be excited to see the new works coming out.
Thank
Continued
you,
success,
Chris.
my
Thank
friend.
you very much. I
All right.
appreciate it.
And
Thank
thanks
you.
to my audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, and all those places across the internet. Pick up the newest books in a series of the VC Andrews series, Eden's Children. And also, I don't have the second book up. Looks like I lost track of it. Judgment Day.
Little Paula. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Little
Little Paula.
Paula on sale February 7th, 2023. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time. And that should